Unbelievable. Let's take a look at some of the replays of that first round. Tons of action. Both of these guys are tired. Record doing a lot more damage in that round, but you saw Brian Thomas ending the round on his back.
Well, here's the replay right here. These guys, right from the get-go, Robert Densley punching, kicking, elbowing, doing the things that he has to do to win the fight, and then in the last minute, Brian Thomas gets his back, but right here, Robert Densley, once again, you shoot in, you're gonna pay the price. You're shooting in to take his knee, he's gonna punch you, he's gonna kick you, he's gonna elbow you, and he landed, like you said, oh, and that's that uppercut right there that cut him open.
I'm really surprised that Brian Thomas was able to weather the storm for the first 3.5 minutes of that round. Unbelievable. His left eye is swollen, cut up. He's not gonna be able to see out of that. And he's imploring the crowd, raising his hands in the air, get on your feet, stand up. We've got ourselves a fight.
Well, Brian,
Johnny, we talked about this kind of being old school versus new school. Brian Thomas is undefeated, but he's kind of like the younger Robert Densley.
Well, he is, and he's a vicious guy. You know, he's 3-0 inside the cage. He's never tasted defeat, and he's not going to let it happen right here.
Yeah, our notes ringside are covered in blood.
Brian Thomas comes out throwing a nice right hook, but Robert Densley, 1, 2, 3. If you try to take him down, he's going to make you pay. He's not going to let you get that takedown that easy. And now you see here, maybe looking for the throat for what could be a submission. But Brian Thomas working hard to get this takedown. And right there, Robert with a nice switch, a standing switch. Great wrestling move right there to get the back of Brian Thomas. Now, what does Robert do with it here? What happens?
No, he's got to get those hooks in. You can see he's a little high up, and Brian's trying to shake him off, go out the back door, pull him over.
But you see he's got that hook, and now he just needs to settle back on his haunches a little bit. Because he is too high here. You're not going to see a submission out of this.
Wow, Brian Thomas is showing a great job of fighting off Robert Densley. Look at all that blood.
Oh man, it's out there, right? Even our great little guy that's in there cleaning up blood, he's in there working his tail off to get all that blood off the mat. But that's what happens here in a fight, folks. Head wounds bleed a lot. I want to remind you of that. But if you get a cut on the head, it's going to bleed. Now we're going to see these guys bang.
I think Robert Densley is a little surprised that Brian Thomas is still in this fight. He's like, hey, most people I would have beat 2 or 3 times already.
Well, and especially by the damage done to Brian Thomas. And we know that conditioning could be a factor for Robert, but Robert said, not at all. My conditioning is on point. I'm there training with the guys like Rob Handley, Stephen Razor Sharp, Eduardo Rivera, who had a large knockout tonight. And you're not going to be able to take this guy down very easy. He's going to transition and he's going to make you pay for every takedown that you miss.
And Brian Thomas is working very hard right now. Going for that takedown, continuing to drive forward, supporting the weight of Robert the Record Densley. That'll wear a guy out, but he doesn't appear to be getting tired.
And Robert's searching for that nice switch. He had it earlier, but Brian rolls to his back and he can't get it. But you see Robert's got his right arm inside the crotch of Brian Thomas, and he's working to get the leverage so that he can get that switch and exact a little punishment on Brian at the same time.
No, we're seeing a much more methodical record this round. You know, he tried punishing Brian Thomas in the first round. Now he's really working on maintaining position.
Those shots from underneath suck, and he's landing them, he's making them count. And as he goes for a submission, Brian Thomas dumps him and gets Robert high. Robert's not gonna be able to submit from here, he's way too high.
No, and Brian Thomas might get out the back door.
He does, and this is not where Robert wants to be. Densley stands up with him now, let's see what happens. And there's that switch! Oh, a great wrestling switch by Robert Densley, looking for that right from the get-go. And what about the transitions here, the back and forth, man?
No, ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing 2 great MMA fighters using their wrestling, and Robert again gets the back.
But he's too high.
What does he need to do so he doesn't get
He doesn't need to slop on there and make it lazy, you know what I mean? He's got to make sure that he's back on his haunches when he comes over the top, throw those hooks in. But he's throwing it way too high, and that's just being tired, you know what I mean? Sloppy, stupid mistakes.
1 minute, 30 seconds left in the second round.
Stay off the back of that head.
Oh, yeah, he's hitting the back of the head. He's got to be careful on that.
And that's tired shots right there, boy. Got about 1 minute 15 left in this second round here, brought to you by our friends over at Rockwell Time. You ain't rocking Rockwell, you ain't rocking right, but oh, it's Robert Densley with 1 minute left. Is he going to give up his back again for this round to where he could get submitted? He needs to do something besides sit there and cover up.
No, and this is one of the tough times in the fight.
And once you see Rockwell Time, head there, rockwelltime.com.
Let's go, both of you.
No, Wrecker, he knows that he's not supposed to be in this position, but fatigue can take over your body, and he appears to be exhausted.
Well, he's exhausted. He came out in the first 2 minutes and threw every single thing he had at him. And even though right here, I mean, but Rob, but let me tell you something. Brian Thomas isn't doing a lot. You know what I mean?
No, he needs to be taking advantage of this position. Those punches that he's landed on Wrecker are not doing anything. Now Wrecker's trying to reverse it.
And Wrecker shakes him off.
Anything you can do, I can do better. And Brian Thomas going for a straight armbar, and he might have it. And
he let it go. I think he thought he had it. Robert didn't tap. He's got the armbar, but that's
10 seconds. Will he be able to defend it?
Defends the armbar. First round choke, second round armbar.
You know what, Johnny? I think when these guys were explaining the rules backstage, nobody told them that you're allowed to tap.
Hey, this is WCFC, baby. We don't like tap outs here. We like knockouts and TKOs. See the replay right here. Robert Densley once again throwing some punches from underneath. Working this choke, but now watch, instead of, you talked about it, position before submission, and he just hops on and tries to throw his hook in, and it doesn't work.
Johnny, how do you score that round?
It's tough to say, man. Robert was doing a lot of damage in the first, but then it just seems like right here with about 1 minute and 30 left, he got really tired. And in doing so, he made some mistakes. And right here, Brian thought he may have tapped out, or either that or he just kind of sprung loose of that thing.
No, he was used to training. That was almost a reflex from training. In training, if you get that position, you'd pull back and then you'd stop, but this is not training.
And if you guys heard enough, are you ready for your main event of the evening? Jordan Matahele Smith, representing One Hit MMA, getting ready to step in there and do what he does, and that's bang and beat people up.
This crowd is electric.
They are amped, they are pumped up, they're ready to go. And there's Brandon, the murderer Melendez, working with Ryan Yamasaki and Brandon Kaiser. MMA record 36-11. He's had more fights than most guys on this card combined.
Yeah, definite veteran of the sport. And Brian Thomas exhorting the crowd, get on your feet.